I can't hear you guys.
How about now?
Okay, yep,
Call the roll, please, Jackie.
okay. Counselor Coker. Here. Counselor Bjornson. Counselor Tarman.
Here.
Counselor Brewer.
Here.
Mayor Cutchin.
Here.
Counselor Kenyon.
Here.
Counselor Hollett.
Here.
Okay.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Councilor Bjornson, have a
Bjornson has a family.
Okay.
emergency.
excuse absence, please, Jackie, for Councilor Bjornson.
Okay.
Let's see, additions, corrections, adjustments to the agenda. There's a couple. Item 10.1 is being struck, James.
Yeah.
Okay, and we're going to add item 11.1, which is a request to apply for a grant that James will describe when we get there. Other than that, James, do you have any other further changes to this?
No.
Any counselors have any recommended changes to the agenda? Okay, nothing heard. We're down to public comment. Let's start with James. Do you have Ms. Hammond's statement that you can read? Or is she online perhaps?
I have not received it unless you sent it in.
Sent it in this morning. I don't see her, but I think I might be able to pull it up on my email.
I didn't really read that to be something that she.
Oh, is that right?
wanted, Though it's more like questions that I think can be handled by administration.
Concern I have is it says the title is public comment.
Okay, I guess I missed that one.
All right, so I'll read, this is a note from Rudy Hammond, who's an Oak Ridge resident. And her statement is, my reason for this communication is because in my position as operating my animal business, I at times need a reliable result for obtaining public records made regarding animal issues. At times I need to present records to my animal attorney, especially if the calls were of an established meant for an abuse or neglect case, such as the case made January 4th, 2024. Allegedly, an existing record of document has not had a report ready upon request. With today's date being February 1st, and the request was made and or received online January 23rd, 2024, valuable time is delayed. I'm only suggesting an operative solution to have a consistent, reliable records request system that provides a timely receipt of a public records request. I need such valuable information because of legal business procedures I must follow. I completely understand that paperwork is the most time-consuming aspect to providing services for the public. I ask in this forum because others may want to know as well, how can we rely on an efficient process? Personally, I have provided a report to the Oak Ridge Police Department for many of my cases just to have involved our OPD. I know we have limited resources. If you put in your public record request, you can see my contribution should a public record be solicited from any of my programs' involvement in the city, urban growth brandy, or inclusive to out of city limits per West Fur, Lowell, etc. What is the specific records request schedule? A request can be submitted on any day of the week as it is currently, except Fridays. What time frame the public has to be in receipt of those records requested? Thank you. James, if you could just take some, provide Ms. Hammond some answers on those.
If I can just respond briefly for
Sure.
education purposes, public records request, the city has 30 days to respond to that. Sent about a week ago. So we're still time frame.
And they're all available online. Is that,
Yes, 24/7.
so if someone files a hard copy, does it get uploaded to the records request system, or does it just stay as a hard copy?
That would just stay as a hard copy. I'm not aware. Well, I suppose we could upload it ourselves.
I don't know if there's value in that or not, but okay.
If this was sent to our system.
Okay. All right. Any public comment in the room? Any public comment on the Zoom platform? All right, nothing heard. We'll move on to item 6, which is mayor comments, announcements, proclamations. Only thing I have is the Lane County Commissioners recently passed the Oak Ridge Westford Smoke Safety Plan, which is gives our folks a real advantage during smoke season. A little bit of leeway with regards to exceeding thresholds because we have a plan in place. So they endorse it, which is the last step. And then I think once we get that endorsement, we will send it on to DEQ and file it formally. So good news. I'll move on to item 7, and that's council comments or announcements. Any councilors in the room have an announcement, comment, question? Councilor Turner.
I was just gonna say, I got to attend the field tour with the Northwest Forest Plan Federal Advisory Committee. So it's the future forest management plans for in the Northwest. And it was extremely informative. I don't know, I've never been introduced to forest management, but it was interesting to hear how some of this came about. And I listened in on some of the back committees meetings, and they were impressed with Oak Ridge, and they're talking about us a lot, planning to make some changes hopefully.
Yeah, this is a federal committee that's appointed, and once they meet and take in public comment, public input, they actually provide recommendations to the government, federal government, on how they can change the Northwest Forest Plan. The Northwest Forest Plan was published back in 2003, somewhere around there.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah, and nothing's ever changed. Even though they promised it was going to be a living document, it's just stay where it was. So there are some changes that are needed with regards to land allocations and endangered species. So hopefully we'll have some success. And we gave them our top 3 list on what we recommended, and hopefully they'll take that back home and get some changes to the plan. Any other?
I just had a question. Is that the meeting where they were looking for input on how to prioritize the 3 different areas to do some cleanup, I guess, to make it more fire prevention?
Yeah, and that was part of our input. Was right now some of these restricted use areas are right up next to the city limit.
Yeah.
And we wanted to build almost a radius where we could take further fire-wise type actions to protect structures in the future. That was one of our recommendations, but yeah, that was.
I went to that one. I was wondering if that was what he was talking about.
Any counselors on the Zoom platform have a comment or a question?
Yes, hi.
Mr.
Sorry, hi.
Are you here for public comment? Because we went by the beginning public comment and we have it at the end. This is for city councilors to comment.
My apologies, never mind.
No worries, no worries. Any counselors on the Zoom platform have any comments? Nothing heard. We'll move on. Consent agenda. Do I hear a motion?
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second that.
A motion made by Councilor Tarman, seconded by Councilor Burr. Anyone opposed? Speak up now. All right, motion passes. On to appointments. James, you want to introduce 9.1?
All right, so as per City Council's direction, we have a number of committee members whose terms expired 2023, and most of those folks would like to reapply for another term. So we have a number of folks that are on Zoom or here in the room. It's required, reappointed to their seats. Nothing is contested except for the ever popular Parks and Community Services Committee, where there are 3 applicants for 2 vacant seats. Everything else uncontested. I made the suggested motions here and also take them in the order they desire. And I just want to point out that assuming council fills all of these seats as requested, we still have a number of open seats on committees. Probably the most pressing would be the 2 open seats on the budget committee. We're starting that relatively soon. I'm just going to reach out to. See if we can get a couple more opportunities to apply for that.
Given the number of applicants, I'll first ask if any councilors have questions of James before we move into taking motions. Okay, I'll entertain motions as councilors see fit.
I move to approve Dylan Samples' application for seat 5 on the Parks and Community Services Committee for a 3-year term expiring at the end of December 2026.
I'll second that.
All right, motion made by Councilor Kenyon and seconded by Councilor Coker. Discussion on this motion or questions? Is Mr. Sample in the room?
He sure is.
Okay. Any questions or? Please.
Dylan, I remember that you've been looking to join the committee for a few months now. What made you decide you wanted to settle with applying for the Parks Committee?
Just looking for a volunteer job and
Uh-huh. And do you have a good interest in the parks?
yes,
Any other questions, councilors on the Zoom platform? Questions? Okay, Jackie, would you call for a vote, please?
Yes.
One
Counselor
second.
Tarman.
Sorry,
Sorry,
Jackie.
my dog's playing with her toy.
I need to repeat the motion.
Oh, okay.
I move to approve Dylan Sample's application for the seat 5 on the Parks and Community Services Committee for a 3-year term expiring at the end of December 2026. All right, go ahead, Jackie.
Counselor Tarman,
Nay.
Counselor Brewer,
Aye.
Counselor Coker,
Aye.
Counselor Hollett,
Aye.
Counselor Kenyon,
Aye.
Mayor Cutchin.
No. All right, motion passes. Do I hear another motion for any of the committees?
I have a question and a motion. This is for Counselor Hollett.
Go ahead, Counselor Holland.
I just want to say this to the council that the other 2 people that are applying for the Parks and Rec, both Tom and Jason, I really feel strongly that those 2 people are instrumental and vital to that committee. And I don't know, I really want them both on the committee, and it's really frustrating, but I think I'll make a motion to appoint Tom to the Parks and Rec Committee. But like I said, we really need them both.
Right. James, I know we have a sort of a preliminary revision to the resolutions. So if that, when and if that passes, how is that going to impact?
Anyone who's on a committee with the full will stay on through the end of their term. So it will remain 7. And unless someone quits, then that seat just goes away.
Reducing each committee by 1 seat.
Right, but it doesn't take, we're not kicking people off committees.
Let them time out.
Correct. And that's it, that's in the. What was asked by.
Sure. Okay. So the motion was made by Counselor Hollett. Was there a second?
No, they're not yet.
Any second?
I'll second.
All right, motion made by Counselor Hollett, seconded by Counselor Kenyon. Discussions. Comment.
Well, I would like to point out that I know Counselor Howard has a really valid point that these two applicants might both be excellent candidates for this committee, but I would also add that the community can participate in the committees as much as they want. So if the committee welcomes them and wants their feedback during the meeting, that is completely acceptable.
Any other comments? My concern is, I do give an incumbent a little bit of a nod, particularly if they perform well in the current position, and I believe they're most effective if they have a vote on a committee. So I kind of like to give a little favor, unless there's a reason not to an incumbent that's served and committed all that time to a committee. And as you say, there are also other committees with open seats where there's available places to volunteer. But that's just my opinion. Any other comments before we go to a vote? Jackie, would you call for a vote, please?
Yes.
Yep, I'm sorry, one more time.
Okay.
I move to approve, the motion was to move to approve Tom Lyons' application for seat 6 on the Parks and Community Services Committee for a 3-year term expiring at the end of December 2026. Jackie?
Counselor Hollett,
Aye.
Counselor Tarman,
I,
Counselor Coker,
Aye.
Counselor Brewer,
Aye.
Mayor Cutchin,
No.
Counselor
Motion
Kenyon,
passed. Is that?
no,
I'm sorry, who's next, Jackie?
What? Counselor Kenyon.
Aye.
All right,
That's all.
motion passes. Welcome, Mr. Sample and Mr. Lyons. Jason, I really thank you for your service on this committee. It's come a long way since you joined. I hope you will consider joining another committee that is of interest to you. All right. Any more motions to be made? There are plenty of available.
I move to approve Jerry Reed's application for seat 5 on the Administration Advisory Committee for a 3-year term expiring at the end of December 2026.
All right, motion made by Counselor Kenyon. Do I hear a second?
second,
Seconded by Counselor Tarman. Any discussion or questions of Ms. Reed if she's on the line? May not be. Are we allowed to consider? No?
Council, made that clear a couple times, that gotta be here, so we can postpone.
Okay, we will postpone that particular motion, or can you withdraw that, please?
I'll withdraw the motion.
Any other motions?
I will move to approve Chris Winchester's application for seat 6 on the Administration Advisory Committee for a 3-year term expiring at the end of December 2026.
All right, motion made by Counselor Kenyon. Do I hear a second?
second,
Seconded by Counselor Tarman. Discussion or questions of this applicant? All right, Jackie, would you, the motion was to approve Chris Winchester's application for seat 6 on the Administrative Advisory Committee for a 3-year term expiring at the end of December 2026. Jackie?
Mayor Cutchin,
Aye.
Counselor Hollett,
I'm sorry, it's an I.
Counselor Tarman,
Aye.
Counselor Kenyon,
Aye.
Counselor Coker,
Aye.
Counselor Brewer,
Aye.
All right, congratulations. Yep. Any further motions?
I move to approve Marty Scott's application for seat 5 on the Public Safety Committee for a 3-year term expiring at the end of December 2026.
I'll
All right.
second.
Okay. Motion made by Counselor Kenyon, second by Counselor Coker. Discussion? On the candidate or questions? All right, the motion was to approve Marty Scott's application for seat 5 on the Public Safety Committee for a 3-year term expiring at the end of December 2026. Jackie?
Counselor Brewer,
Aye.
Counselor Hollett,
I.
Counselor Kenyon,
Aye.
Counselor Coker,
Aye.
Counselor Tarman,
Aye.
Mayor Cutchin.
Aye. All right, motion passes. Welcome. Any other motions?
I move to approve Brendan Crispin's application for seat 6 on the Budget Committee for a 3-year term expiring at the end of December 2026.
I'll second that.
All right, motion made by Counselor Tarman, second by Counselor Kenyon. Questions of Ms. Chrisman or comments? All right, Jackie, would you call for a vote, please? I'm sorry. The motion was to approve Brenna Chrisman's application for seat 6 on the Budget Committee for a 3-year term expiring at the end of December 2026. I'll get this right at some point. Go ahead, Jackie.
Counselor Tarman,
Aye.
Counselor Kenyon,
Aye.
Counselor Coker,
Aye.
Mayor Cutchin.
Aye.
Counselor Brewer,
Aye.
Counselor Hollett,
I.
All right, motion passes. Welcome back. More motions?
I move to approve Amy Brown's application for seat 5 on the Library Board for a 3-year term expiring at the end of December 2026.
Do we have any present?
Oh, no. Is Annie Brown online? We'll have to delay that one, James, if we could. Can you withdraw your?
Yeah, I withdraw my motion.
All right, I'm in another one.
I move to approve Terry DeLoach's application for C6 on the Library Board for a 3-year term expiring at the end of December 2026.
I'll second that.
All right, motion made by Counselor Tarman, second by Counselor Kenyon. Any questions of Mr. DeLoach? No. Okay, the motion was to approve Terry DeLoach's application for seat 6 on the Library Board for a 3-year term expiring at the end of December 2026. Jackie?
Mayor Cutchin,
Aye.
Counselor Hollett,
I.
Counselor Tarman,
Aye.
Counselor Kenyon,
Aye.
Counselor Coker,
Aye.
Counselor Brewer,
Aye.
All right, motion passes. Someone want to make one final motion?
I move to approve Mary Tara Rivera's application for seat 5 on ODAC for a 3-year term expiring at the end of December 2026.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, and I see her online, yeah, at the very bottom. Any motion made by Counselor Tarman, seconded by Counselor Kenyon. Any questions of Tara Rivera? Okay, the motion was to approve Mary Tara Rivera's application for seat 5 on the ODAC for a 3-year term expiring at the end of December 2026. Jackie?
Counselor Brewer,
Aye.
Counselor Kenyon,
Aye.
Counselor Hollett,
Aye.
Counselor Tarman,
I,
Mayor Cutchin,
Aye.
Counselor Coker.
Aye.
All right, motion passes. Welcome.
Thank
And
you.
welcome. That should do it. Anybody we missed, James? I don't think so. Other than the postponements. All right. On to,
Mayor,
yes, Counselor Hollett.
is Dylan Sample still there in the room?
He certainly is.
May I ask him a question?
Yes.
He's already been appointed, but sure, go ahead.
Dylan, if you were not appointed to the Parks and Recs Committee, would you be interested in participating on the committee and being, helping out and being a part of that committee without being appointed?
Yes.
His
I'm
answer
sorry, what
yes.
was that?
His answer was yes.
Yes.
Correct. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, that was his answer.
Okay. I know this is completely unorthodox, but I just I can't ignore how badly I feel that Jason Nevers was not appointed. He was the committee member of the year that we awarded last year, and he has done so much that I would like to rescind my vote for Dylan Sample on the Parks and Recs Committee. And I apologize. I know that is unorthodox, but I feel it's the right thing to do.
I don't know. Let's see what the parliamentarian says about rescinding votes already cast. And
I believe it's supposed to be done before the end of the meeting.
I believe the proper thing to say here would be to make a motion to rescind the vote, and it has to be made by someone that was on the prevailing side.
Which I am.
Okay. So I mean, in other words, not specifically your vote, but the motion. You'd like to rescind the motion.
I would like to rescind the motion for the committee appointment for Dylan Sample.
The other question is, well, I guess this wouldn't be a removal from committee. Been appointed, but we're still in the meeting. So I guess.
That's why it has to happen in the same meeting.
What a question.
I heard your motion, Councilor Hall. I'm just going to have James check real quick on the.
Thank you.
Looks like it requires a two-thirds vote or a majority vote with notice. Not sure what the notice requirement is.
That means that it was posted that this seat was available. That's the notice for the meeting.
Okay, so a vote taken by an assembly, except those mentioned further on, may be rescinded by a majority vote, provided notice of the motion has been given at the previous meeting or in the fall for this meeting. Or it may be rescinded with no notice by two-thirds vote or by vote of the majority of the entire membership. So, yes, I would agree with you that if the motion was previously noticed in the materials. So it just required a majority of act. So yes, it can be rescinded.
Okay, so You have another comment?
I do. I actually think that what it means is that the motion needed to be noticed on the public notice for the meeting. And it wouldn't have been. It would have, the public notice does say that we would be voting on committees, but not the specific motion. Wasn't noticed.
So if the private notice of the motion would be the rescinding motion. Is that what you're saying?
No, it'd be.
Because notice of the motion was in the council packet.
Yeah, but the council packet is not posted in the two places where we're required to post notices.
Gotcha. Okay, then, if we're gonna take that interpretation, then the rescinding motion requires a 2/3 vote.
Okay. So the motion was to rescind the vote appointing Mr. Dylan Sample to the Parks and Community Services Committee. Did I get that right, Councilor Holland?
Yes, that's correct.
Do I hear a second?
Second that.
All right, motion made by Councilor Hollett and seconded by Councilor Brewer. Discussion.
Well, I'll just say, I would really, I am just beside myself thinking that Jason won't be able to be on that committee. He, like I said, was a committee person of the year last year, and I think I may have not quite understood that the two applicants on there wouldn't be able to serve on the committee, that there was too many. I know it was explained, but I apologize. And Dylan, I think you would have a great time and be a good person on that committee too.
Thank you, Christine.
Okay, Councilor Brewer, you had your hand up for a minute. Do you no longer have a comment?
No, I was just gonna say that I understand where Chrissy is coming from, but in that I'm really grateful that Dylan is still willing to serve on the committee. But we want to make sure we have the best suited people. I loved the idea of him being on the committee, but I don't know him or Tom Lyons very well, so I'm gonna have to lean towards whatever our counselors think in this case.
Thank you. Any other comments, Councilor Kenyon?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask you, Dylan, do you really understand what's happening right now? If they're asking you to relinquish, if you're okay with your seat as a voting member being relinquished, so that you can still participate as a community member. Okay, wonderful.
All right. The motion was to rescind the vote appointing Mr. Dylan Sample to the Parks and Community Services Committee, and that was seat 5. Jackie, would you call for a vote, please?
Mayor Cutchin,
Aye.
Counselor Brewer,
Hi.
Counselor Tarman,
Aye.
Counselor Hollett,
Aye.
Counselor Coker,
Aye.
Counselor Kenyon,
Aye.
All right, motion passes unanimous. Do I hear another motion?
Yes, I would like to make a motion to appoint Jason Nemers to the Parks and Recs Committee as a renewal.
Okay, do I hear a second?
I'll second that.
Motion made by Councilor Hollett, seconded by Councilor Brewer. Any discussion, questions of Mr. Nemer? Councilor Kenyon.
I'd like to ask that we do an amendment to the motion to have it read exactly as presented in the book.
Just, you want to just make the amendment?
Yeah, my motion to amend is to approve Jason Nemer's application for seat 5 on the Parks and Community Services Committee for a 3-year term expiring at the end of December 2026.
Okay. There's a second on that amendment?
I'll second it.
All right, the amended motion made by Counselor Kenyon, seconded by Counselor Hollett. Any discussion on the amendment? Jackie, would you call for a vote, please?
Mayor Cutchin,
Aye.
Counselor Hollett,
Aye.
Counselor Brewer,
Aye.
Counselor Tarman,
Aye.
Counselor Coker,
Aye.
Counselor Kenyon.
Aye.
All right, the amendment passes. The existing motion is now a motion to approve Jason Niemer application for seat 5 on the Parks and Community Services Committee for a 3-year term expiring at the end of December 2026. Any discussion on the amended motion? All right, Jackie, would you call for a vote, please?
Counselor Tarman,
Aye.
Counselor Brewer,
Aye.
Counselor Kenyon,
Aye.
Counselor Hollett,
Aye.
Mayor Cutchin,
Aye.
Counselor Coker.
Aye.
All right, motion passes. Thanks for your previous service and your future service. All right, moving on to item 10, business from the city council. 10.2, University of Oregon Sustainable City Year Program presentation by Director Megan Banks. James?
Thank you, Mayor. All right, with us tonight virtually is Megan Banks, the director of the U of O's Sustainable City Year Program. She's here tonight to have a discussion with us about the possibility of the city partnering with the program to aid in various planning city projects, wherein the entire school year, U of O students, faculty, including grad school programs, law school, whatever is needed, be working with the city directly on policy development, economic development, finance, marketing. There are a number of projects where we could easily use a few hundred students' help on. We had a discussion, very good discussion, last week, and we talked about some possibilities, such as helping us with trying to get funding for the WEC the model project, helping us with marketing ideas for the industrial park, helping Rick with a number of planning projects, including capital improvement planning, public works, mapping and development of sewer system, the whole family housing development, promoting tourism. There's this, we could probably do 20 projects with them. But the way it works is typically cities pick 6 or 8, and they have to be matched with classes that would be appropriate for that. In your packet, there's some information about other cities that have partnered with the university. And Megan's here to answer any questions. And what I'm interested for is permission from council to continue exploring this partnership. The city has considered this before. Cost was always an issue. Normally, something like this would cost about $100,000. However, the federal government stepped in this year and offered a 50% match. So our contribution is closer to $50,000. I believe there's a little bit of wiggle room there. There's possibilities that private donor may step in with some funds. Depending on what projects we do, we have room in the budget, such as the industrial park fund, pretty healthy at this time. Under there for the use. So basically, I just want to use this time for councilors to be able to ask any questions they have to Ms. Banks and myself, but she knows more than I do. and discussion if this is something you would like to continue to explore.
Thanks, Jay. Ms. Banks, I think we met some time ago. Do you have a presentation or you want to just take questions?
I'll just take questions if that works for you.
Sure, that's great. Counselors, questions of Ms. Banks?
Did you want a motion before we do that or no?
Guess we'll let her give her presentation. Well, she doesn't have a presentation, so yeah, a motion would be great.
I move to allow the city administrator to continue exploring a possible partnership with the University of Oregon Sustainable City Year Program and report back to council.
Motion made by Counselor Kenyon. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Seconded by Counselor Thurman. Now, are there any questions of Ms. Banks? Please.
I would ask, I'm not sure if it's Miss Banks or maybe you know, is this similar to when you were our city administrator and you had someone from the U of O?
It
That
was the same program,
same program,
but at the time, we just didn't feel that we could afford it.
that we had someone.
Oh, no, that's the rare program. We had a rare intern, a rare participant. So it's
Okay,
different. It's different.
it is.
This is a bunch of students, not just one.
Okay, that's what I was wondering.
I could provide just a little bit of context, and the rare students come into a community for an entire year, and there's just one of them, but they're exclusively working on their city identified projects. The Sustainable City Year program, we actually take existing classes, and instead of doing a hypothetical project or something the professor makes up, we actually do a project that's identified as a priority, in this case for the city of Oak Ridge. So that's why we're able to bring in so many students, is because they're taking their regular classes. So you might have, depending on how many classes throughout the whole academic year, could be 100 students, could be plus or minus. But one thing that's important to us is that the city identifies the projects that they want to match with the classes. And that's kind of my role, is to figure out where the projects fit with the different classes that we work with across campus.
Thank you. Counselor Brewer, do you have a question of Ms. Banks?
In the pamphlet, it says the partner must support the effort through staff time and the payment of a fee. Is there a specific fee associated with each of the classes? Like, does the law side classes cost more than the agricultural classes type thing? And is there a fee scale that's upfront for us to where we're going to have a regular update as to where we are with this project financially?
Yes. Whew, that was a couple questions. Let me see if I get them all. This is a little different because we are bringing in the federal funding as a match. So what we would typically do is a contract that's a not to exceed dollar amount, and that, yes, we are breaking out classes and charging by class. However, if we don't meet that, like if the classes only cost you're under that total contracted dollar amount, you wouldn't pay that whole dollar amount. You're only paying the amount that's going towards the classes. Sorry, that wasn't a great explanation, but we are definitely willing and able to keep the city council in the loop. In fact, we'd like to have you participate when the students come to visit or with any of the site visits that are happening, so that you can engage with them and they can engage with you. We want to be sure that they're, understanding Oak Ridge and its community, and you are best to share that with them. So in terms of the finances, you're basically paying for the work that you're getting, is one way to frame it. And in this case, you're getting that extra match. So you're able to do more classes than you would if it was entirely Oak Ridge's dollars. I don't know, James, do you want to tag along with that?
Yeah, so as I kind of mentioned, maybe I've glossed over, the money from the city could come from different areas. So like if we decide we want to do something about involving development of the industrial park. We've got a little over $1 million right now in that fund. That money could be used to support this program. For that project. Same with Public Works, if they're gonna help with sewer mapping project, that would come out of water fund. And then, of course, there's always the hope that someone like, I don't know, Uncle Phil would step in and want to support little old Oak Ridge. It's always possible. But obviously, what I'm asking for is to be able to explore this further. I'm not asking for a certain dollar amount at this point, and the dollar amount would have to be approved by council prior to doing it. So we have a plethora of ideas of projects. That's not the problem. Problem is identifying and prioritizing ones that would then match with available funding.
Okay. James, I've had a report that your audio is poor to non-existent. So
I'll try to speak louder. So the funding could come from different places depending on the type of project. If we're going to do something involving the industrial park, we could use industrial park funds, but we couldn't use industrial park funds for a project involving revamping the city website or attracting medical services, more doctors, et cetera, to the city. Would be appropriate to use OIP funds for that.
Okay. Councilor Kenyon?
My question would be, would the council be able to prioritize the list of projects that we can get done under the funding that we would have?
Certainly.
Be part of the process.
And in fact, I think what Ms. Banks is saying is that she would encourage that. Most non-participation.
So Ms. Banks, it's a competitive selection, I know, and they say you have the capacity to do 10 to 30 projects, obviously depending on how big a scope it is. How many applicants do you normally get on a given year?
Well, I confessed to James last week that one aspect to this conversation is that we have had conversations about working with Oak Ridge in previous years. So
right.
You're still on our radar. You're still in Lane County. There's a huge benefit to having you this close in terms of students being able to travel and visit and be able to be a part of the community for that year. In this case, because the number of projects that the city of Oak Ridge might do is probably a third of what we have capacity for, it's not necessarily competitive for Oak Ridge. We would say yes to Oak Ridge if Oak Ridge says yes to us, and then we would probably, in addition to working with Oak Ridge, we would probably add another partner. And we've done that 3 times in past years, and it works out well because there's typically not overlap in what the different priorities have been. So the short answer is it's not competitive for Oak Ridge to be selected.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments? Rick, are you answering it?
Oh, yeah, I'm gonna answer because I participated in the SUIP with Monoma County and the City of Troutdale. It was a great experience. I also participated years ago in GIS. So just from those experiences, being on the student side, they were great. They were awesome. Real world experience. You also get the instructors with their real world knowledge, and we wouldn't be there first. So there's a lot of things that they can share with us. Just spitballing out of Public Works. We all know that the Public Works building burnt down. We lack a lot of GIS. If we divide that up, I think that it makes sense of capital improvement planning for the long range planning for public works is in dire need as well. Those are just two projects that I can think of in my wheelhouse that I think I'd be great with. And again, I can't say enough from personal experience of being on the other side of those projects. They were great.
Counselor Kenyon?
Is this something that once all the plans are negotiated would start maybe next September for a full school year, or is this would start sooner and go through the summer and next year?
Yeah, there's a timeline in the packet that talks about the cycle. And it's basically an all year while they're in school, but there's a,
Whole school year. The only exceptions will be like if we're getting in law school class, they start earlier.
And I'll add that we have done summer classes. If there's a match and the city wants to start early and is ready, that's a possibility.
thank you. Any other questions before we go to a vote? All right, motion was to allow the city administrator to continue exploring a possible partnership with the University of Oregon Sustainable City Year Program and report back to council. Jack, would you call for a vote, please?
Mayor Cutchin,
Aye.
Counselor Kenyon,
Aye.
Counselor Coker,
Aye.
Counselor Hollett,
Aye.
Counselor Brewer,
Aye.
Counselor Tarman,
I,
All right, motion passes. We'll see you at a future agenda on this, James. All right, on to 10.3, which is Dogs of Valor fee waiver requests. James?
Thank you, Mayor. All right, Randy Fulkerson, the founder, Dogs Dollar, which is a 501c3 charity, trains dogs, support veterans who need of service dogs. Has requested 10 days of fee waivers for the Green Waters Park Community Building, a host program. We would be in the building for approximately 1 hour, 5 to 6 p.m. every Friday from January 26th, which I already approved, I'll get to in a minute, through the end of March. He is supposed to be here tonight, maybe he's online. Well, if he's not here, so at any rate, he's requested 10 days. By council's new policy, I was able to prove that for the first 3 Fridays. As far as I know, last Friday it went on without a hitch. Last year we did the same thing. Brittany, the caretaker, said that he was one of the best at cleaning things up after the events. So, there's no concerns there. But in order for him to get the additional 7 waivers, that would require council's approval.
All right, so is Mr. Fulkerson not in attendance? Does he need to be in attendance?
Actually, I don't think so. It's just a fee waiver request.
Okay. Do I hear a motion? Okay, motion fails. We'll move on. And perhaps the rest of it another time. All
I'll
right,
make the motion.
I'm sorry, is that Counselor Hollett?
Yes, it's Counselor Hollett. I'm just looking for it in my packet. Which page is it?
Item 10.3.
I got it. I move to waive the rental fees of the Green Waters Park Community Building for the Dogs of Valor program on Friday nights from 5 to 6 p.m. through the end of March.
All right, motion made by Counselor Hollett. Do I hear a second?
I'll second that.
and seconded by Counselor Brewer. Discussion, questions of James? Counselor Brewer, please.
Hey, James, do you by any chance know off the top of your head around how many participants he had at last week's meeting? Just
Unfortunately,
off the top of your head.
I don't know. I did not attend. I don't have a dog.
I think there was about 6 or 7.
6 or 7. Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Any other questions or discussion? So do I understand he's giving the Dogs of Valor classes? Is that what his purpose is? He's actually giving dog obedience classes at the Green Waters? Okay.
And it was actually 8, I just got the number.
And they come free of charge to the individuals that have dogs?
I'm not sure how that works, I just know that they are, training for veterans with those to be certified. Service animals, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah,
Counselor Burr, do you have a comment or a question?
Yeah, I was just gonna say on his website, it says he works by donation only.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions, comments? All right, the motion was to waive the rental fees of the Greenwater Park Community Building for the Dogs of Valor program on Friday nights from 5 to 6 p.m. through the end of March. Yeah, could you call for a vote, please?
Counselor Tarman,
Aye.
Counselor Coker,
Aye.
Counselor Brewer,
Aye.
Counselor Kenyon,
Aye.
Mayor Cutchin,
No. Motion
Counselor
passes. Oh, sorry.
Hollett, sorry, Counselor Hollett,
aye.
and
All right, motion passes. On to business from the city administrator. And that's 11.1, and that's a request for permission to apply for a grant. James?
Thank you, Mayor. All right, council might recall at our last meeting, I mentioned that I just come back from a Business Oregon presentation in Eugene about a new program funded by the state legislature that provides for up to $2.5 million in a forgivable loan with, so they're calling it a forgivable loan, but as long as you do what you say you're gonna do, it's forgiven. There's no match required. But that kind of protects them, you can't just take their money and run. Want back. To improve industrial lands. We qualify for 10 acres available. These are for projects to improve the infrastructure, which is something we were going. Already started breaking ground on, but have not been able to get too far on it due to ice bursting around the city and everything else public work has to deal with. So this would have the state pay for it, not only on Kokomi, but for the entire industrial park. So every single lot would have water, sewer, electric, everything. We're paving the road to extend Kokomi so that there's currently one landlocked. Oh, thank you. Extending Colo Road, currently a landlocked lot back there. That'd be a paved road again with sewers, manholes, the whole kit and caboodle. So I know that the council's already authorized developing the industrial park, which I'm simply in abundance of caution, wanting to get a motion authorizing me to continue to seek funding opportunities for development improvements of the industrial park, including this particular program. So my mandate is clear.
It is a proposed motion at the last page of the packet that James handed out. Do I hear a motion?
Motion. The Oak Ridge City Administrator is authorized by the Oak Ridge City Council to continue to seek funding opportunities for development of and improvements to the Oak Ridge Industrial Park, including applying for the Semiconductor Industrial Lands Loan Program.
Do I hear a second? I'll second that. Discussion, questions of staff? Counselor Kenyon?
My question would be, is the money, if we were given it, approved to have it, able to be spent only on infrastructure? Or could we say, decide that we wanna build a new business and it needs funding?
No, it's only for infrastructure to make the industrial park more attractive to businesses coming.
Just to be able to sell it? Okay.
Which makes the land more valuable.
Counselor Tarman?
As far as the forgiveness part, like, how do you prove that you met the requirements for forgiveness?
Yeah, so Rick and I had a conversation yesterday with Jason. Can't remember his last name, from Business Oregon. And he basically said, it's like any grant, you have progress reports. You have to send them the receipt showing you spent the money on what you say you're gonna spend it on. The other nice part about this is that you can request in advance of the loan, so it's not a reimbursement thing. Obviously, we don't have $2.5 million to spend up front. It asks for the advance of the money, and that will be granted with good cause. And we explained our situation, and we don't have the money. He's like, oh yeah, just check that box and advance. So again, it's really a grant.
Counselor Kenyon?
And what would happen? I mean, we're asking for the full 2.5 million that's available to be asked for. What if we didn't need 2.5 for all the infrastructure that's needed in the industrial park?
Then we'd have to give it back.
I mean, would we be only asking for upfront increments of what we need for a project?
Well, so we've identified 3 separate projects. That way, if we're partially funded, we'll know exactly what we can do. So project 1 is to put sewer system in the entire industrial park. Project 2 is one. Project 2 is water main lines through the entire industrial park. Project 3 is extension of Toho Road, including infrastructure, water and sewer, manholes, fire hydrants, etc. So three separate projects that made, which in total is about 2.5 million. Why not ask for the full amount? And that's and Rick put in an extra 10%. Sometimes there's slow bridges, so we probably wouldn't spend the full 2.5 million and all that, but it's nice to have that buffer. Because if for some reason we did go over 2.5 million, we have to.
My question stems from the knowledge that for the last several years we've had a budgeted amount to do the water and sewer on Kokanee, and if my memory serves me correctly, it's somewhere in the $400,000 or $500,000 range. Are you looking that up, Rick? Are you
How much
looking
is
that
the
up?
Kokanee? How much do you budget for the Kokanee project? Sure. The public works is going to. Oh,
the ones they are doing right now.
Yeah, they start.
The exact number.
But I can tell you there's $1.4 million right now.
But one of the differences with when we budgeted for public works was really materials. And then public works was gonna put it in. This is materials and labor as we would be going to a contractor, so they don't really apply apples to apples. Because we are already having our own guys do the work, as we're with this program, we would be asking a contractor to do the work. So there's a
Right.
labor discrepancy or the wages and labor, have different amounts.
Oh, that we didn't already have budgeted for because we had to do the work.
Taken out of hide, yeah.
Okay, that's what I was trying to get at, but so then would we still be using all the
From the materials we bought, yes.
materials that we've already purchased?
Counselor Brewer, did you have a comment or a question?
I just have a quick question in regards to the verbiage. It says applicants must have the capacity to implement the project, which I understand is a contractor thing, and repay the loan if required. I know we can talk about how we're gonna do all the things and we're gonna check all the boxes, but my concern comes from when things might not work out the way they're supposed to. And we don't have the ability to repay the loan. That would be my only concern, because I know that regardless of how much we have in the OIP fund, it would wipe that out to have to repay it. So have we thought about that as far as setting money aside for those projects?
Yeah, we had a pretty long conversation with Jason yesterday, and he assured us that the only way we wouldn't get the money and we'd have to pay ourselves is if we did something totally outside the scope of what we said we're gonna do. So like if we did take their money and build a flex building or buy land somewhere else in the city, then we'd be in trouble. As long as we're doing what we say we're gonna do, which is put in this infrastructure in the industrial park, we're good.
So looking at the title, it's the Semiconductor Industrial Lands Loan Program.
Yeah.
So it does say that we need 10 acres and all zoned industrial. And we just actually rezoned some to mixed use. I don't know if we can just call that industrial as a chosen zone, but in addition, if it's for semiconductors, it would seem like the 10 acres, they would want one.
We continue contiguous. We asked that question and he said, no, as long as it's still within the industrial park. So we can, so we have two lots that equal almost 9 acres right next to each other. And then we've got another lot right across the street. He said that qualifies.
Okay.
Additionally, I spoke to the owner of site right next to those two sites. It's got almost 3 acres. And he said they'd be more than willing to sell their section if a large company came in. And this is just in general, not.
Sure.
If somebody needed 10 acres, he'd be willing to sell.
Okay, and it sounds like those lots you're referring to are probably in the industrial zone area, but. Anyway.
Yeah, we checked on that.
Okay. Any other questions or comments before we go to a vote? All right, the motion made was the Oak Ridge City Administrator is authorized by the Oak Ridge City Council to continue to seek funding opportunities for development and improvements to the Oak Ridge Industrial Park, including applying for the Semiconductor Industrial Lands Loan Program. Jack, would you call for a vote, please?
Counselor Brewer,
Aye.
Counselor Tarman,
Aye.
Counselor Kenyon,
Aye.
Counselor Hollett,
Aye.
Counselor Coker,
Aye.
Mayor Cutchin.
Aye. All right, motion passes.
More
Two more things, okay?
I just wanted to remind council of the governor's task force regional solutions team coming on February 13th, 10 to 3. Remember the 3 counselors that have signed up, okay? Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, let's see.
and Chrissy, right? And
Is here, Kelly?
Kelly's the alternate if somebody can't make.
Okay.
So we'll be doing that on February 13th. Also on February 13th at 7 p.m. is the RTMP TRT committee meeting board. There will be a presentation from Plain County about the rules and regulations of those programs. And a lot of councils are interested in that. 7 p.m. February 13th. So busy day on the 13th.
All right. That it?
Yep.
All right, moving down to item 15, which is department staff or board committee commission reports, in this case, board and committee, except for item 15.1, which is the finance report. Colleen, James?
Yeah, so, finally got you guys December's finance report. Had some issues with the accounting system. And due to that, James asked me today that, Counselor Kenyon was wanting a phone number to our, accounting system so that she could call. I don't know what the purpose of that is. So I was just wanting to bring that up. I'm not sure. And the council rules and procedures on page 29. It says that all members of the council shall respect the separation between the council's role and the city administrator's responsibility by A, not interfering with the day-to-day administration of city business, which is the responsibility of the city administrator, and B, refraining from actions that would undermine the authority of the city administrator or department.
Right. And Colleen, are you confident in the data in, data out with this, given all the issues that we've had with Assist? As far as the numbers, are you confident the numbers are correct when it comes to expenditures and revenues received? Right. Okay. Any questions of Colleen or about the report itself? Councilor Kenyon?
Yeah, I'm just curious if this report would have come out today anyways, or did it only just happen now because after 2 months of not receiving it, I asked for the phone number of the software company that has been supposedly delaying this report. Seriously, is it coincidence or was this gonna happen?
I'm not gonna take that crap.
I think it's important to communicate for James if you're dealing with staff. Please.
I tried to, and this is our finance report where I'm allowed to ask any questions.
And you're not allowed to call our software.
I don't know why that. Can you tell me, James, why I would not be allowed to call our software company?
You're not an employee.
As a,
Is it billable, James? Do they charge you for service calls?
It probably would, but I don't know. I feel like protocol was followed. Councilor Kenyon did not ask Colleen directly for something. She asked me. I didn't ask Colleen for the phone number. I don't know whether or not this would even be able to talk to Councilor Kenyon. I don't know what questions Councilor Kenyon had asked for them. I don't know. I think we're making a mountain out of a molehill here.
Yeah, and the concern I have is what you asked of Colleen was not really a question. It was accusing the fact that you asked about it was the reason that she was motivated to put the report out. And to me, that's more of a comment about her motivation, and her performance.
I asked if it was a coincidence. Or this would have.
Point of order. Point of order. I think this discussion's a little inappropriate and it could probably happen behind closed doors with the city administrator and the mayor, Councilor Kenyon and Colleen. This sounds more like a personnel issue and it doesn't sound like it's appropriate for the council room. It's gone
I
a
agree.
little
It
too
is a
far.
personnel. I agree. It is a personnel issue, which was brought out by Councilor Kenyon, but let's move on. If no one has any further questions about the finance report, nothing else. Okay, moving on to 15.2. That's a report on the Public Safety Committee. Councilor Coker.
that meeting was actually canceled.
Okay. Next would be report on the Charter Review Subcommittee, Counselor Kenyon.
Our charter review subcommittee is continuing to meet every 2 weeks and working on the same thing every time.
Yeah.
Updating the charter.
Do we have a kind of expected date when you think you'll be complete? And so what election am I go ahead of?
Unfortunately, it's really hard to, even though we've been meeting twice a month now for the last several months. It's just really hard to gauge whether or not we'll be able to be ready for this next election. Because of the amount of time that we need to present to the public and to present it to the attorney.
Yeah, it really needs to be publicized well so everyone knows what they're looking forward. But
Yeah,
and that's you're referring to the general election in November.
I am.
Yeah.
I just don't know that it would be ready for them.
Yeah, maybe the following one in May. I don't know. Yeah.
Possible.
All right. Library board, is that you, Counselor Tarman, or?
Yep.
Yep.
So library board met on January 9th, elected new officials. We discussed the bookmarks and voted on them. Had a motion to have members attend in person unless they can't appear due to illness or traveling. And then there was, we spoke about time limits for people speaking.
Who were the anointed leaders?
Trying to remember. I didn't take those notes.
Actually, it might be in James's, might be in James's notes, but anyway. Okay. Kodak, James?
ODAC met and reviewed the for the YP and then the tourism attendant board was of course the task force meeting.
Well, does ODAC have a rep in there other than you?
I have invited all of them.
Okay. Good. All right, moving on to the admin committee, Counselor Kenyon.
Yes, the admin committee finished up making a proposal, which ended up being presented to the council at our last council meeting. And we, at our next admin meeting, which is a little later this month of February, we'll be starting to work on updating those resolutions to bring them back to council.
Okay, thank you. And on to the RTMP TRT committee. You meet next week? Or?
Yeah, we don't have any updates from the last meeting.
Okay. Planning Commission, Rick?
Yes, in December, the planning commission met, we had a conditional use permit application that we met for, and then after that we moved into a work session where we intended on reviewing the parcels adjacent to adequate water and wastewater for increased density. But due to a new computer, I had some technical difficulties, and that's not happened. We then moved into reviewing Oregon planning goals 10 through 15, and that was about it for planning commission.
When do you expect the PGM zone recommendations?
It's still being reviewed by ODOT. I was communication before, we will say.
Yeah.
Expecting that question, hoping to get an answer. She says, I'm sorry, it's still with ODOT.
Okay.
I should hear back soon.
Good. Good. All right. Parks and Community Services, is that you or Rick?
So we discussed, Tom Lyons came and discussed the Diamond View Skills Park. Proposed ideas for moving forward with that. We talked about Green Waters Park review and evaluation for creating a survey for past users and new users for park rentals. The next meeting is February 12th.
All right, 15.10 is the WAC funding committee. We did meet, and most of the focus was on a Lane County opportunity. They've been given community what's it called? What's it, James?
Resilience.
Community Change Grant, about to the tune of about $5 million, and they get to distribute it across Lane County. They said that our WAC project was the most shovel-ready of all the projects they were looking at. So we were in pretty good shape with that, but part of the process is to get them information to be able to apply for this grant, which is due in February. And so we worked very closely with the architect to talk about notionally how things could be laid out in there. And I believe his next stop is to the WAC subcommittee, or has he already been?
Correct. This coming Monday, 5:30 p.m. And I should mention that meeting, we're actually gonna meet at the fire department because we're gonna walk over after the business part of the meeting for a tour. If anyone wants to attend that, come to the fire department, 5:30 on Monday. It will also be available on Zoom.
Okay, yeah, and the architect had some really good ideas on where things would fit best. And so I look forward to the WAC subcommittee taking that brief and getting some, giving their thoughts. Other than that, that was pretty much the entire hour that we spent on that. I don't see the WAC subcommittee on here. Do they not have a meeting between now and then?
We did not last month.
Okay. And then the last is 15.11. That's the Oak Ridge Westford Chamber of Commerce monthly newsletter, which was it in the packet?
Yeah, it's in the pack.
Yep. Any questions that anyone can answer on that? Does anyone have any counselors? Self-explanatory. All right, on to item 16, which is public comment. Mr. Griffin, I know that you were anxious to make a comment. Can we have you speak up?
Yes, thank you. I actually was just wondering about item 6 on the agenda. You were covering a motion that was passed about, I believe, smoke. I was wondering if you could recount the details on that just for clarity, because it sounded interesting.
Yeah, so as you know, we're under a EPA grant right now. It's a targeted airshed grant, so they're concerned that for a long time we did not meet the federal standards for particulate matter in the air. And so they awarded us this grant to kind of help with that. And we've done pretty well. We are below the threshold and we've reached attainment. We still have a few years to go before we're totally in the clean. But as part of that, as you know, if you've been in Oak Ridge for a while, you have red days, green days, yellow days. And they track it pretty closely. LRAPA does, which is the Lane Region Air Protection Agency. And so the smoke safety plan, it's an established plan the city, both cities, Westford and Oak Ridge, have on how they would react to elevated smoke levels and what they have in place, whether it be clean rooms or other things. So we've put together this plan. Both city councils have passed it. And then the next step was to send it to the Lane County Commissioners to finally adopt it or recommend adoption. And at that point, it goes to the Department of Environmental Quality in Salem and becomes official. And it gives us a little leeway. If we have a bad day, we can, and it's just a spike, a short spike, we aren't going to get penalized for it because we have actions in place to deal with it. So that's kind of the basic idea of the smoke safety plan.
Okay, thank you very much.
Sure. Any other questions on the Zoom or public comment? I'm sorry. Okay, any in the room? Dylan.
I filled out the Oak Ridge Air Survey.
Yeah.
And I have not received my gift card. I just wanted to know if you wanted this, remember, on the Zoom platform, has received their gift card for filling out the survey.
James, have you heard of reports of those being distributed yet? Has Oak Ridge Air taken that on?
I don't know if those have been distributed or.
We'll have the city administrator ask the question of Oak Ridge Air, who's the one doing the distributing. But thank you for bringing that up. Yeah, Mr. Carl.
Yes, thank you. Gary Carl, I live here in Oak Ridge. Things get lost over time. Years ago, when I was on the city council, I don't even remember when that was. We made a trip over to La Pine. And they, at that time, had used the Sustainable City program. through the U of O with great success. And so I applaud this council for moving in that direction. I think it will be very beneficial to our city to have that connection with the university. I know it costs money, but you have a lot for your buck. So good for you all on that. I also wanted to mention that Oak Ridge is the only city in East Lane County that does not have a county park. Somebody said there's a county park under the, but I don't see any county park. And the advantage to having a county park is it generates revenue, or it can generate revenue. And so I would ask that you all pay some attention to that and see if our county commissioner perhaps can do something for us about getting a county park there.
Thank you. Mr. Barkley, I see you raised your hand. Do you have a public comment?
I do. I had to go get a dog from the groomers and apologize for lateness. Dan Barkley, Oak Ridge, Oregon. Just listening to the meeting, just kind of curious. And I haven't seen a financial in a long time that's being held up because we haven't transitioned from assist to something better. But just out of curiosity, I'm a disabled vet that has carried scars over 30 years, and I'll take them to my grave. So I fully support the whole goal of Dogs of Valor, and I will be calling Randy tomorrow to make a donation if he works off donations. But last regular session, the organization that has 17 of the 109 Oak Ridge-based businesses listed with the city came to council with a request for funding, initially for a tourism director, when their stated mission as a group collectively is to promote tourism and business, and that became a request for funding to help them make ends meet. From a business standpoint, looking for public money to make ends meet, that just doesn't wash for me. But like I said, 17 of the 109 Red Oak Ridge-based businesses are chamber members. Nothing wrong with chamber, but that motion was tabled pending a briefing to the RTMP TRT committee by the Lane County Finance Department person, because they no longer have a division that deals specifically with transient room tax. That was tabled pending this briefing. Both are nonprofits. One withholds money from city coffers, and Mayor Cutchin, give him credit for being consistent, because with one exception I can think of, he has voted against every fee waiver presented to council. But whether, I'm no economist, but I have, 785 credit score, which is pretty good. And I do know something about business, but to me, just from a purely economic standpoint, what is the difference between withholding rental fees from city coffers or withdrawing money from city coffers, but for nonprofits? They both, both do not have a positive effect per se on the city finances that we've heard ad nauseum that, are dire and on a shoestring. But we don't have money to grant the fee waivers, but we do have money for an organization that historically has relied heavily on city finances. It just doesn't make it would seem more consistent to me that all TRT RTMP requests be tabled until after the RTMP TRT committee is briefed, in which case we're probably going to find that there's been awards in the past that probably didn't meet the criteria, or maybe they did. But if you're going to table one, table all of them, just to be consistent, just to be fair. Like I said, the goals are different between the two organizations, but the fact that the board of directors for the chamber is all volunteers, that doesn't wash, because I see 7 people at council meetings that are all volunteers and another 5 in Westford. So the board of directors for the chamber is like 1 less than the total elected officials for 2 cities they represent. But just an observation, and I think the partnership with the U of O, on paper, it's a great thing. But if we're broke, do we really have $50,000? Or are we really tasking the city administrator to pursue a program so that we can spend $50,000 that we may or may not have? And, just, it doesn't make sense from an economic standpoint, and I just wanted to share that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Griffin, your hand's up again. You have a second comment, which I don't know that we can take, but.
I did, yes. I wasn't sure if you could, if that would be allowed.
You get one bite at the apple, but.
No worries. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment in the room? Counselor, did you have? Is this a public comment or is this a counselor comment?
I'm waiting for a council comment.
I don't see on the agenda, but go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to point out that in response to the public comment from Dan Barclay that the Dogs of Valor request was not an RTNP or TRT request, so I don't feel like it needed to be withheld until we have had that meeting.
Yeah, I would encourage you to read the text under item 5 about responding to public comment, but in any case, any other public comment? All right, motion to adjourn. All right, meeting's adjourned at 7:32. Thank you.